We continue the cycle of straight tracks here in F1 Total for season 15 in Division 1, and we close the first half of this season here in Jeddah. Welcome for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, round number 6 for season number 15. And indeed, we are still continuing with the street tracks, this very long phase of street tracks we have in the calendar. We had Singapore last week, and now we continue with Jeddah, and it's gonna be Las Vegas, Baku and Monaco coming up next in the following weeks. And qualifying is about to go underway in here. I am Biz Gabby, your commentator as usual, to commentate this race here tonight, and qualifying has just started and we are already seeing the first cars coming out on track. And the closest to the finish line will be Alex, who now has officialized his return into the league, taking a full-time seat here in Sauber. And as you can see, once again, Jeddah are one of the fastest street tracks on the calendar, and you imagine that one of the fastest tracks of the calendar will be one with very few corners, and well, that's the case. Monza still is the track with the highest average speed with 11 corners only. But Jeddah, this is the track with most corners in the entire calendar, a whopping 27 corners, and all of them are so fast you just go past them in a blink of an eye, with only 3 heavy braking zones going down to third gear, because the rest you either take it flat or you either take it inches to the wall at speeds that surely go above 200 kilometers per hour. It is one of the circuits where, just as I described the circuit, Alex, into the wall he goes with no front wing at all, but luckily he's still into the session, and I was just about to say how the circuit punishes mistakes very easily and very quickly. And we indeed had just an example right now with Alex going into the barrier at turn 4. Well, more precisely turn 5, well, one of the hardest corners of the track. There are many difficult corners where you can either gain a lot of lap time or you can lose a lot of lap time, if not completely end your qualifying session as a whole. You just go centimeters close to the wall. There is no margin for mistake. A lap that you have to drive here around Jeddah needs to be a perfect lap. You ride all of the curb, you go centimeters close to the wall, you nail every single braking zone, throttle zone. You absolutely need to nail it to the absolute limit, and that's what makes drivers great around this track. And the first car to go across the finish line will be always in the McLaren, as he opens up DRS onto the main straight and sets at 28.8 for the first lap here in qualifying, and Felix immediately beats that with a 28.0 sets, an easy provisional pole position, as we see the Williams of Sean Moore, who is about to start his first lap. So is the, actually it's the other Aston Martin of Creamy, who finishes with a 29.0 for his first lap of the session. Gets beaten by Jeremy, who goes in P2 at 28.5, so 5 tenths provisionally from the leader of this qualifying session. Edwin, who is for some reason driving the Alpine, well, he still has driver, but for some reason he chose the French livery as he goes in P4 with a 29.004, just a few thousandths of a second faster than Creamy. So it's P4 for Edwin between Always and Creamy, with 5 cars setting their lap times. Sean is pushing as well, going around turn 13, a 180 degrees corner with a lot of banking, and you need to be all the way up to the inside and get the widening on the exit just right, so that you can get all this section right. This section from turn 18 to turn 1, they're not really corners, it's pretty much a straight with a very long DRS zone, and you need to get the braking right for 22. Also watch out to ride the curb to get the optimal line, but not ride it too much to either bottom out or just speed and crash, which will obviously be the worst case scenario at that corner, as Sean Moore gets some very useful slipstream from the Aston Martin there as he goes around turn 27 on the exit, and with DRS open on the main straight. Shammu's first lap will be at 28.7. Into P3 he goes, and we see the vehicle of Felix back into the pits. There is a Mercedes also very close. It is Jeremy back into the pits as well. Same goes for the Aston Martin of Creamy, adding into the pits as well. But we do have Phantom Fox. I think on his second push lap he's gonna run turn 5, 6, 7, 8 now in this very fast section from turn 5 to turn 12. One of the fastest snakes, the fastest S sections of the calendar, that finishes sector 1 and immediately puts you up into sector 2, braking for turn 13. And now this is after turn 17. Yes, after turn 17, this is pretty much a straight, but you need to stay extremely close to the walls, to the inside line as much as possible to get the perfect racing line through this straight. And then for turn 22, not taking lots of curb, but just safe enough to maintain the car on track, not bottom out and not spin, as we did see how easily and how heavily mistakes can be punished around here. But into turn 27, the Aston Martin goes, DRS enabled on the main straight, using all of that energy across the line. It's only at 29.1, it's the slowest lap time of the session. The two Aston Martins now have the slowest lap time of this qualifying session, and we are missing Alex and Bazooka with no lap times yet. And we see the Aston Martin, actually the Alpine of Edwin coming out of the pits, but then we see movement in the Sauber garage as Alex goes back on track. Out of the pits he goes, and let's see if he's able to avoid making the same mistake as earlier. We did see we did see Alex racing last week in Singapore. He was still getting very much used to the new handling model, but he still pulled off a great performance, finishing into the points. Well, now finishing into the points won't be a problem, 9 drivers only for tonight, but there is still a lot on the table, I reckon. If you keep it consistent, keep it on track, out of the walls for 25 laps exactly here in Jeddah, well then you can definitely have a good result if you manage to not crash, to not make mistakes. And there is the Alpine of Edwin just going slowly into the runoff to let the Sauber of Alex through very easily. But there is Jeremy as well, who just started his lap as he goes around turn 1, 2 and 3 on the exit, using energy on the exit 3, and now braking for turn 4. Watch out to not clip the inside too much, just millimeters close to the wall. If he went a little bit more to the left, he would have just completely destroyed his tire, but now he goes into this very fast S section at turn 10, 11 and 7, and it's very good for Jeremy as he finishes sector 1 just by 4 thousandths. He is lower than his previous best. He has the inside line in 4th gear, slightly taps the wall on the exit, stays on the right hand side, now the left hand side for turn 16 and 5th gear, taking all the curb, and now with this straight with the DRS enabled right now as he goes across turn 19, 20, 21, and watch out for 22. He's still down by 44 thousandths. Hits the wall too much on the inside of turn 22 and he goes off track. It's an invalidated lap time for Jeremy, but he still has 8 minutes and a half left to go into qualifying to try and improve. But let's see what Alex is doing now. Still having to set his first lap time on the session. Very careful on the throttle at turn 13. He's still getting used to the handling and to the grip that the rear tires can give. And he also stays very careful with the line there at turn 16. But now he stays on the inside, on the apexes as much as possible, and from turn 22 he brakes still in 6th gear, misses the apex by a little bit and doesn't exactly take the perfect line through turn 22, 23 and 24, but now he's on this straight with just a few corners and now braking into third gear for turn 27. There is still some energy left to deploy into the battery. Overtake enabled, DRS enabled for the first lap time of Alex. It's gonna be P8, so 9.3 is lowest lap time of this session, but only 2/10 behind Phantom Fox. We do have the Ferrari of Vodka as well, coming around turn 13. It actually went to non-ERS. That's an interesting strategy for a qualifying lap to actually use non-ERS mode. But let's see what can he do, and doesn't exactly take the widest line possible through the chicane of 16 and 17. It looked like he was very careful trying to avoid the curb, and there is also some lagging involved. I think it's worth mentioning PSN is having a little bit of an issue recently. We did have some troubles with the invites earlier before the race started, so maybe we'll see some lag or some problems, so we don't know quite yet. But doesn't exactly hit the apex at turn 27, and it definitely compromises lap time. The Ferrari across the line is indeed the slowest lap time out of everyone, 1.4 seconds off of provisional pole position, which at the moment looks very easily into Felix's hands. Sean Moore is improving by 84 thousandths in sector 2, which was at turn 22, but now he's after turn 27 and on the straight. Sean Moore in Williams he improves his lap time, but not his position. He finds 2/10 almost compared to his previous best, but he still stays in P3, and he will need to improve actually quite a lot if he wants to catch Jeremy. But always we also have to improve quite a lot if he wants to catch Sean Moore. But let's still look at the gaps from P2 and P1. It's exactly 482 thousandths of a second. So it will definitely be a difficult task for Jeremy. He will need to gain a lot of lap time throughout pretty much every single corner, even the fast ones, even the flat ones. And to be fair, a lot of time can be found from turn 7 to 12. That's the main part of the S section at sector 1. And I think from 6 to 12 is completely flat. So you really need to adjust your steering in a way that you hit all of the apexes, you don't bottom out on the curbs, you don't invite your lap time, which obviously is very difficult, but that's one of the main points where pole position is actually made around the lap. Let's see what Phantom Fox can do, as he's currently in P7, now braking up until third gear, actually second gear for turn 2 and 3. The Aston Martin driver trying to find as much rotation as possible, and now braking for turn 4, and actually doesn't stay as close to the wall as he will need to be ideally. Now, does he stay flat? No, he actually lifts and slightly brakes for turn 9. It might have cost him some last time. Maybe Aston Martin doesn't have a lot of downforce on this setup, but he still improves by almost a tenth and a half. Around turn 17 he goes, and with a slight oversteer on the exit of 13, but he kept it on track. He still has the perfect setup for turn 16 and 17, which takes very, very nicely. And now onto this mini straight we go from turn 18 to turn 1. DRS is enabled. There is still a lot of energy left into the battery. Now comes turn 22, and Phantom Fox actually lost some time. He's down by 31 thousandths. I think it's mainly due to the oversteer on the exit of 13, so he really needs to either be faster on the straight or get the exit out of 27 absolutely spot on. And he goes very close to the wall, both on the inside and on the outside. There might have been still some space, but actually Phantom Fox is not happy with his lap time, and he goes back into the pits. So no cars out on track except for Jeremy, who is on his out lap, and with 3 minutes left to go into qualifying. At the moment it looks like it's gonna be the German driver in the vehicle on pole position once again. He needs to gain as many points as possible on Catch Racer, who is not racing tonight, so it is definitely an important chance for Felix to maximize points. But even so, even if he wins this race, he will still be not in the lead of the championship, as he's currently 37 points behind. So if he wins with the fastest lap, the gap will go down to 13 points, which is, well, not exactly ideal, but it's not too much considering we're finishing the first half of the season. So, but even if he doesn't win, even if he gets a podium, it is still a very important chance. But I heavily doubt Felix will settle for less than P1. But now we go on board with Jeremy. He needs to improve by 5/10 if he can challenge for pole position. Now braking first turn 1 into second gear to get all the rotation possible, and now on the exit of turn 3. Let's see turn 4, how do he take it, how close to the wall he goes, extremely close, stays in 5th gear, and now for turn 5 and 6 it's gonna be flat out all the way in here up until turn 7. It's actually a light lift, and I think Jeremy has abandoned his lap. A massive oversteer through the S section. It was a lift before, and then it was also a spin, taking too much curb. So Jeremy has abandoned his lap. He's recharging the battery and will go for another one later on. Felix is on the out lap as well, and he will be looking forward to improve his pole position time. Sean Mull, he is also starting another lap. And he goes around turn 1, 2 and 3. The Williams driver really needs to improve, even just by 30 thousandths at the moment, to try and improve and go up into P2. But let's see what the provisional pole sitter can do. Braking at 100 meters, stays in 3rd gear, absolutely aggressive on the steering wheel and taking all of the curves possible. Now for turn 4, he takes it in 5th gear and does it very nicely, doesn't bottom out on the curb. It's a perfect racing line for Felix as he goes flat out into turn 6, 7, 8, 9. It's actually a lift through turn 9 and the exit for 10, 12 and 10, 11 and 12, and improves by 2 tenths and a half. Felix is on an absolutely flying lap at the moment, stays in 4th gear on the inside for turn 13, and one is on perfectly on the exit. Now he's gonna have to brake for the chicane of 16 and 17. He goes into 5th gear and taking out of curb, but still a perfect line and a perfect lap for Felix at the moment. He's into the 28 now. Jeremy has crashed during his second run. Let's see if we can see his car. Yes, crashed into the wall on the left hand side after turn 10. So Jeremy will not be able to improve the position, and neither will Felix, as he has invalidated his lap time, so Sean Muller as well. So at the moment this leaves always as the only contender for pole position, but realistically he's not gonna take it as he needs to improve by 8 tenths of a second. He's still, there is a lot of debris actually. There is an Aston Martin crash. Phantom Fox, I don't know what happened. Phantom Fox retired on track, and with debris on the track from around turn 18 and 19. In the meanwhile, always is improving by almost 2 tenths, but I do think he actually didn't take quite an optimal line through those corners, so he might have lost some time. And in the meanwhile, Alex goes into P3, improves by 7 tenths and a half. This Sauber, at the moment, it looks like he's in contention for the podium. It's a great result for Alex, and a great qualifying result on his second race returning into the league. P3 between Jeremy and Sean Muller. He will be very pleased with that one, and let's see if he can convert this result into a podium in the race. Edwin improves in P5. He goes 6 tenths off of pole position, and said pole position belongs to Enedor Felix One, as well, not as always, but as we've very often seen in the past, it's yet another pole position for the 4th-time world champion, who is still looking for that chance to try and claim a 5th title here in F1 Total. He has been chasing that for 4 seasons in a row now, and this race right here tonight might be an extremely important chance to try and see if he can gain enough points and claim this fifth title. Is still a long way to go, still 6 races left after this one, and this is not even the hardest one on the calendar. But again, still an important chance for Felix. In pole position, Jeremy in P2, Alex in P3, Sean in P4, and Edwin in P5, always in P6, Creamy in P7, Aston Martin with 7th and 8th position, Fancy Fox is in 8th, and Bazooka at the back of the grid in P9. And there we go, this is the qualifying results, and the race is about to go underway, and drivers are selecting the strategy, but I'm 99% sure we will see medium hards. But I actually don't think there is quite I don't think there is a very big gap between the mediums and the hards in terms of performance. I think the mediums are surely very good, but like they tend to wear out quickly because of the nature of the track. You put a lot of stress on the front tires, and the hards are, well, much better at managing that. So mediums definitely fast, but like they drop their pace to a rate where the hards actually start catching up quite quickly. But it's not like to say that the hards are infinitely better than the mediums. Like they're pretty balanced. One, the mediums, well, they wear, but they actually maintain that pace, and the hards are just very good at minimizing tire wear. So well, this is why medium hard or hard mediums is pretty much the strategy to choose at every race. If it's gonna be medium hard or medium, I don't know, but I would actually go medium hard as a preference, and I do think we will see more mediums here at the start on the first stint. So the drivers are selecting just that, and also adjusting the fuel load, very important as well. We actually didn't have never mind, 5 red lights for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and it's lights out, and away we go. Felix on pole position, and Jeremy trying to get a better start on the inside line, but he does not stand it. He just stays behind the Fenner P2. Contact between Jeremy and Alex, but they maintain it on track. A very slight touch between the two of them on the opening lap, but Jeremy maintains P2 and Alex in P3. Sean Muller still in P4. I don't think we've seen any position changes besides from Bazooka and Always. It's actually always a drop in 3 places. Bazooka going slightly off track, but actually overtaking Fancy Fox, but Bazooka off track he goes, and Fancy Fox with a mistake as well, going slowly through the S section. But for some reason it doesn't look like Bazooka has done an illegal overtake, so he still maintains that P7, but the rest of the grid is very much the same as before, and we can see the tires. But interestingly, we have only one hard runner, that is Fancy Fox, and only one soft runner, it is Creamy. So the two Aston Martins completely different from the rest of the group. Creamy trying to be aggressive on this first stint, and Fancy Fox trying to be very consistent and very conservative, trying to go the long way around to minimize tire wear and keep the lap times consistent with the tire wear. But it's a great start for Felix, who maintains pole position, and Jeremy looks like he's gonna try and make a move anytime soon. 3 tenths between the two of them, and he just keeps gaining and gaining with all that slipstream. It's a great start for Alex as well, who has maintained P3. There was still some slight contact between the two of them at lap 2, at turn 2 actually, but it didn't ruin the race for neither of them. And we are already seeing a DRS train starting to break. Bazooka is losing DRS to Creamy, who is just flying on the softs, losing, breaking DRS train from the Castellano. Jeremy goes deep, goes off track, and Sean Muller gets a 3-second time penalty already on the second lap of this race. We have the first victim of track limits penalties. Through the S section, it's 3 seconds for Sean in the Williams. Jeremy kept gaining through the first sector, but actually didn't close up that space to try and go for a move. But he will have DRS now from turn 18 to turn 1, so a very useful chance to use the slipstream and get closer. But he still has to get turn 22 right The exit is absolutely crucial to try and get around on the V-carb on this straight with two corners which are just easily flat. It's pretty much a straight with some kings, but there is an intense fight at the back of the field. It is Phantom Fox, Always, and Bazooka fighting for P7, and Creamy on the softs. The only thing he's doing is breaking the arrest from the cars behind, but actually gaining from the cars ahead. Jeremy indeed gains on the cars ahead as he goes on the inside of Felix, and they still go side by side through turn 2 and 3, and it's Jeremy who gets P1, and Phantom Fox gets a 3 second time penalty for corner cutting. It's not only a simple check and miss penalty, it's a corner cut, and 3 seconds will be added to Phantom Fox. Jeremy has made a very easy and clean move for the lead of the race, so Felix will have to follow through and claim the position back as soon as possible, and Alex just enjoying this fight at the moment consistently in P3. Sean Moll doesn't look like to be that much of a threat, so he's just chasing the two top runners at the moment to see if he can find a gap sooner or later and get through and overtake both of them. Felix will now have DRS on this little straight here. Just before turn 21, still getting a lot of lap time and lots of distance. It looks like the overspeed from Felix's side is just massive. DRS is enabled once again, and it goes around the outside line before turn 27, but they actually still go wheel to wheel. Will they go side by side in the braking zone? No, they won't, as Felix goes past very easily, but Alex is much closer than he was before. Let's see if he actually has a chance of closing in on these two who have been battling from the start of the race, as Felix loses P2 back again, and does Alex try to find a gap on the inside? Does he attempt a switchback? Actually no, there's a slight contact between the front wing and the rear, the front wing of Alex and the rear of Felix, but it doesn't look like there's some wing damage. Badger and Always still fighting for P7, and Phantom Fox as well. This fight between the back markers is actually much more intense than the front, I have to say. But out of this top 5, it's staying close. It's like 5 to 4 tenths at most between every car. So realistically, it looks like they are all in contention for the podium and maybe for the race win. But let's remember, this is still the first stint. It's still a long way to go. Still 21 laps, and once we approach the pit stop phase, that's where the difference will be made. Undercuts, overcuts, depending on the situation, they could all work, but let's not forget the chance of a safety car, as any single mistake could end your race very quickly. In the blink of an eye, you could be into the wall with your car destroyed and the safety car is out, and it will change absolutely everything. But it doesn't look like to be the case. Felix is just tailgating Jeremy, using the DRS to not lose time, but at the same time not going for a move so that he can try and attack easier on the main straight. Nice DRS enabled once again for the vehicle, and he goes to the inside. What about Alex? He needs to gain on the cars ahead and defending from Sean Moll as well, but they do not go side by side. They maintain those positions, but who's not going to maintain the position? It looks like it's going to be Bazooka and Phantom Fox going side by side through turn 2, and Bazooka is on the outside and spins and sends Phantom Fox into the wall. A slight oversteer from Bazooka has resulted in Phantom Fox getting wing damage and just understeering into the wall with the wing already destroyed, and just look at that, he's losing so much lap time. Very unfortunate for Phantom Fox, and really nothing he could have done to avoid that. Just a mistake from Bazooka that completely cost Phantom Fox a good result here in Jeddah, as he just lost DRS in a span of 3 corners. So I reckon it's gonna be a penalty for Bazooka if it's gonna be investigated by the stewards, and Always has a chuckling penalty as well. So this is still a chance for Bazooka to overtake Always and try and create a gap, because he needs to be much ahead of him if it's actually gonna get a penalty. So he's still in the fight for P7, not everything is over, but I would say nothing is over for Phantom Fox. If he's lucky enough to get a safety car, he's definitely back into the game. It's DRS swap once again between Felix and Jeremy. The Mercedes on the inside and into the braking zone. He goes and he's ahead, but there's actually some slight touching between him and Felix. Just some slight contact. Felix still stays in P2 and actually what's Jeremy with a mistake! Jeremy going slowly and ghosting. I think he might have had an oversteer moment through turn 5 or 6 as he has dropped down behind Felix and actually lost some time. Now it's 2 tenths separating the two of them. What about Shamol? Because he's very close to Alex. Yellow flags for Phantom as he actually goes. Actually, Creamy. Wait, both Astons into the pits? A double pit stop for Aston Martin. Oh well, Creamy had the softs. But lap 6, it's a very early pit stop. I didn't think the softs will drop out that quickly, to be honest. So already on lap 6, it's a pit stop for Aston Martin for Creamy and another pit stop for Phantom Fox. And always into the wall! Always with wing damage and going backwards, but now returning back on track. But he almost destroyed his front wing with a spin at what corner is that? How do you spin there? Oh wait, it's actually yes, on the exit of 17, the chicane. Yes, might have lost the rear and hit the wall, wing damage for the McLaren, but he's still in the race, so he can just brush it off into the pits and still continue with his race. But let's see the fight at the front, because Alex, does he actually now have a chance of going around the outside of Felix 1 into turn 3 they go, and it's a slight snap over steer for Alex, and Felix and Alex go side by side, and Alex with a beautiful send into zone 4. He gets P2 out of Felix, who left the door wide open. He thought surely Alex will not send it in here, but he indeed sent it in here, and Felix still trying to find a gap as Alex went slightly slow through the S section, taking too much curb, and Jeremy now has an important chance to break DRS from Alex. He knows that Alex is slightly slower than him, so this is a chance to try and go ahead of that 1 second gap. And Jeremy into the wall! Jeremy with no front wing, he's still into the race, but he has no front wing at all! That's the biggest commentator curse I've seen in a while. Just as I said, Jeremy had a chance of breaking DRS to try and win this race more easily, but he just completely destroyed his front wing with a mistake at turn 17 probably, and that's a very costly mistake in P5, but he will pit for a new front wing and drop down to P6 or even P7 behind Creamy. So now it's a fight between 4 cars, not 5 cars. Felix goes back into the lead, overtaking Alex, and Alex will have to defend from Sean Moore. Sean on the inside, Alex around the outside, and it looks like they lock wheels for a little bit, but Alex stays in P3 and not too far from Sean. Sean is 7 tenths behind Felix, so he still has DRS, but he needs to get this S section right to not lose DRS, and Alex looks like he's being very careful through that section. But even familiarizing still with the handling, he still made a beautiful overtake on the inside, just absolutely confident on the brakes and on the space through the corner, because he's actually so tight. Considering track limits, obviously there's a very big runoff, but again, it's a very beautiful move from Alex. But now he risks to lose time from Felix. Shanmol has lost DRS. It's 1.1 seconds separating the Williams and the VCAB. Track limits penalties are still flying left and right, as we now have 3 seconds for Sean, Creamy and Always, and 6 for Phantom Fox. The latter Aston Martin driver gets a double penalty here in Jeddah, only on lap 8 out of 25. Edwin goes into the pits. Already on lap 9, we have the first medium runners the first of the minion runners strategically going into the pits to try and change onto the hards. So he's attempting an undercut on the rest of the field to try and see if he can get the jump on them and be ahead of them once they go back into the pits. So Felix, Alex, Sean, Bazooka, they might have taken note of that. They might have acknowledged that Edwin is into the pits and attempting an undercut, so they will either go back into the pits soon to defend themselves from Edwin, or stay out a little bit longer to minimize the tire age on those hards, and also having a slightly bigger advantage compared to Edwin. But actually, if it was me, I would pit this lap. Well, I don't know exactly how the tire wear works on this track. I don't have the exact data for that. But on instinct, I will probably pit this lap to defend from Edwin. Just use the hards and go easily to the end. Alex isn't exactly far from DRS. It's just 2 tenths more than he needs to gain. But will he gain them on track or into the pits? Felix stays out. So does Alex. Sean does not. He goes back into the pits. He has acknowledged Edwin's strategy, so into the pits he goes from the mediums to the hards for the Williams driver. He goes into his pit box, and there we go. We can see the white colored Pirelli tires on that Williams, and Edwin, he will be ahead of him. It's actually tight. On the pit exit they go, and Sean Muller, ooh, contact! Just as Sean exits the pits, Edwin drives into the side of him, and I did see some debris flying, and yes, it's a missing left-hand plate for Edwin. This is terrible for him. He attempted the undercut and thought it was working very, very well, but apparently he didn't warm up his hards enough to actually be faster than the medium runners, so he actually ended up side by side with Sean, and he attempted to be ahead of him, but he actually ended up being into the side of him, and with a broken front wing, so definitely not what he wanted, and it's not exactly a big amount of damage, so he might have to continue with this broken front wing. It's 1.6 seconds now, the gap between Felix and Alex. He lost approximately 4 tenths. And he still stays just behind. Doesn't want to attempt an undercut. Or maybe he knows that an overcut will work best if he thinks that it's too difficult to bring the hards up to temperature, so that a new set of fresh hards actually won't be faster than the mediums because they will be so cold. Bazooka on the hards he goes. He drops behind Jeremy. And maybe behind Creamy as well. I think we might get a very similar situation that we had between Edwin and Sean. Actually no, Bazooka stays very comfortably ahead. He actually has the risk of being overtaken with DRS from Creamy, but the gap is actually quite tight, so it's not assured. Edwin is still trying to push to the limit on those new hards, but with half a damaged front wing. But he still has a chance of jumping Felix and Alex, because it's 18.5. He's actually still gaining somewhat. Felix and Alex, I think they're not exactly 100% safe from Edwin. Creamy has a 3-second time penalty. Felix goes back into the pits finally, and Alex follows him. Oh, rear locking from Felix as he goes just before the pit limiter line. Hard tires for Felix, and same goes for Alex. Sean and Edwin fighting on the main straight. Will they make the jump on Felix and Alex? Felix stays ahead, Alex stays ahead too. Sean and Edwin are just behind Alex and Felix. So this top 4 is back into battle once again, but Alex actually lost some time because now it's 2 seconds separating Felix and Alex, 2.2. So Alex needs to find some pace, he needs to find some lap time during these corners to try and see if he can still get back into the DRS range and have a chance of fighting Felix for the race win. But actually I do think he will still be very happy with this P2 on only his second race returning in F1 Total after a very long time. And Phantom is disconnected. PSN issues striking once again. I did mention there were some issues with the servers earlier, and apparently it was the case of Phantom Fox, who has disconnected. I invited him back. Let's hope he joins very soon. 1.7, so Alex actually gained 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. Okay, not everything is lost. It looks like his hards are now into temperature and he has a chance of gaining back on Felix. Sean has a look up the inside with the DRS and actually goes off track limits slightly at turn 1. He might have got a warning, well, he still has a penalty, so it just made the situation slightly worse with that warning for track limits. But let's see where exactly Alex loses time, because it looks like this right here, this section right here is where he loses some time. Look at that, he gained 3 tenths around turn 27 and just lost those 3 tenths completely through the S section. He's just not sending it, he's just being careful to not get a penalty and not go off track, not risk a crash. But he's actually losing more time than he's gaining. Now it's 2.4. I actually want to see the split times between the two, because let's see. Felix had let's look at this lap. 33.1 and 39.1. Alex 33.8 and 39.5. So he's 4 to 5 tenths slower per sector. Definitely not as in, look at that, 2.7. So it actually looks like Felix is pushing more and more right now. Phantom Fox is back. Didn't lose any position because he was very far behind the group. Well, actually, he was very far ahead of Always, so he didn't gain. So yeah, Alex doesn't look like he has the pace. Ooh, massive oversteer for Sean Moore as he goes on the exit of turn 3, and Edwin almost had a chance of going past, trying to avoid him, but he actually stays behind for the moment. Alex keeps losing time from the leader. It looks like he's not gonna have a chance for the race win anymore. So now it is just about defending this P2. Realistically, from Edwin only. Sean, surely he can go ahead on track, but the penalty will just strike back later on. So he needs to defend this P2 from Edwin. And Sean, he will definitely hope that Alex and Edwin have a penalty so that he can still sit on the podium. So it's a three-way fight for P2, but actually, with the exception of Sean fighting for P3, hoping that he can get P3. He's actually just relying on the others' mistakes as of now, if they make any mistakes. So we'll stay with these 3 fighting. Well, it's pretty much the only fight we have. Actually, there is Bazooka and Creamy as well involved in this fight for P6, but Creamy has, I think, a 6 seconds time penalty. 9 seconds actually. Aston Martin not looking great at all this race. Creamy has a look up the inside. He actually sends it on the inside of Bazooka around turn 27. There you go. But who's gonna have DRS on the straight? It's gonna be Creamy. Goes into the pits. Why? Why does Creamy go into the pits with the hards? Alex crashed! Oh no! And the virtual safety car is out! Alex creeps the inside wall at turn 4, and that's a terrible... Oh no! Such a beautiful chance, a beautiful race he was doing, and a great chance that he had for a P2 and for a podium on only his second race returning. He has completely sent it down the toilet, and it's a heartbreak for Alex. The virtual safety car is out, and we have the first DNF of this race. And what a heartbreaking DNF that is. And Creamy actually had a perfect time, because he went into the pits just before Alex crashed, and he went into the mediums. But I still don't understand why he pitted from hards to mediums. Hards can definitely go to the end, I just don't understand. Well, Phantom Fox uses the chance for the mediums as well. Not really a lot he can lose now, so just makes sense. You pit on mediums because, I mean, you're pretty much alone on your own. You're not really fighting for position, so might as well try and gamble on a faster tire, maybe to try and recover something on always. But the two Aston Martins still have more penalties, so not exactly a great race to remember for the team. So now this leaves Sean with a greater chance of being on the podium, but just in P3, and Edwin will finish in P2 if he doesn't get a penalty. If he just stays behind, he'll be in P2 at the end of this race, and Felix just needs to very carefully bring it home, as he has an extremely important chance again to maximize points compared to Kart Racer, who is in racing. Now it's 25. Actually, who has the fastest lap? It's Felix, so it's actually 26, so an even better situation for him, getting the maximum amount of points out of this race. And Edwin going slightly off track, and Jeremy to the wall again. Jeremy with a mistake out of turn 13, hitting the wall on the left hand side, and yeah, a terrible race for Jeremy as well. Fighting for pole position, fighting for the race win, and he has made now 2 mistakes, both of them resulting in a heavily damaged front wing, and just a good result down the toilet. He's gonna have to pit again, and he will finish only in P7. And this puts him in a more difficult situation in the championship fight, because unlike last season, he's now not really in the fight anymore, to be honest. He's currently P3 and 65 points behind Kart. And he's not gonna close that gap a lot. So we are indeed back. We are back with this fight between Felix and Kart Racer for the title. The same fight we've had for 3 seasons. It was actually interrupted only once between with Felix versus Jeremy, and Jeremy actually ended up winning by 1 single point to get his 2nd championship of his career. But we are back with Felix versus Kart Racer. Now they are both 4th-time world champion, and Jeremy gets a 10-second penalty for exceeding track limits. He will now I don't know how. So I was saying, yeah, Jeremy is a 2-time world champion, but now the both 4-time world champions are fighting for their 5th. It's exactly the same situation between Vettel and Hamilton. Hamilton had 4 championships after 2017. So yeah, the fight in 2018 between Vettel and Hamilton, both with 4 titles, fighting for their 5th, and Felix of Chuck, and he has wing damage. I was busy thinking about Veteran Hamilton, but Felix, he's now going off Chuck and with half a damage front wing. A mistake, a costly mistake at the S section, and he has half a front wing left, and he has lost position to Sean and Edwin. This has completely changed everything out of nowhere. Now Felix even loses the point for the fastest lap. Edwin, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, but Creamy crashed! Creamy crashed at Turn 4, but I don't think we will have a safety car. Let's see the Aston Martin. Oh yes, clip the wall on the inside, Jeremy retiring into the pits, down with 3 DNFs. So Creamy with the same mistake as Alex, he DNFs, but Felix, I was just talking about, he had a perfect chance of maximizing points, and on his own, he had no pressure. He was leading the race, he had no pressure from the drivers behind, and he actually hit the wall, losing control of the car at the S section. He goes back into the pits, and he will drop down behind Bajaga in P4. It's a terrible, terrible situation for Felix. Now he's only gonna have to push for P3, maybe, if he can get enough time on Bajaga. He was fighting for the win, and he had a perfect chance of doing so, but Edwin, with a half an end plate, missing his left end plate, he is now on course to win his first Division 1 race out of nowhere. This has changed absolutely everything so suddenly. I'm just checking if Edwin ever won a Division 1 race, because I don't think so. Oh yeah, definitely not. So just a quick check to, well, I mean, I remember Edwin pulling off some great results in Division 1 in the past, but I actually didn't remember if he won earlier in his career, so just had to double check. But indeed, Edwin, well, I did actually jinx a few drivers. I think Felix was the main victim of my commentator curse tonight, so I don't really want to repeat that on Edwin right now. But if he stays outside of the walls and inside the track limits, he has a perfect chance to bring home those 25 points for the first time in Division 1. Actually, now that I look at it, I think Edwin didn't even get a race win at all, not even in Division 2. I'm just double checking at the moment. Yes, he has not. Edwin hasn't got a single race win ever since he joined the F1 Total. No wins in Division 1, no wins in Division 2. He now has a chance of making history in his career. Yes, the double check is done. Edwin could pull off an extremely great performance tonight, and I surely hope he does, because He just kept it consistent. All of the main contenders for the race win. One of them crashed. One of them retired in the pit lane. The three main contenders for the race win. Alex crashed in turn 4. Jeremy wrecked his wing 2 times, retired in pits. Felix lost control of the S section and changed his front wing, and now will only settle for P3. Sean could have actually been in this fight for this race. If he didn't have the penalty, he could have been a contender for P1, but he has the track and his penalties, which is gonna leave a very sour taste in his mouth tonight. Bazooka, always Phantom Fox and Creamy, to be honest, didn't exactly have the pace. So Edwin, the only one fast enough to be in the contention for the race win, and the only one to be fast enough and to not make mistakes, because that's important. That's what also separates a good driver from a fast driver. In the meanwhile, we see Felix gaining so easily on Bazooka's old hard compared to his much fresher mediums, but he absolutely cannot put an overtake around here. Ooh, and Bazooka with an oversteer as well out of turn 10. And thus Felix sends it. Actually, Bazooka is still defending quite heavily, I have to say. Oh, but he has much more grip on the inside. Leaves him a lot of space. He actually backs out. Too risky for turn 16. So it will be much easier with the arrest right now. But he's actually still not getting... He's actually saving energy. Sean and Edwin exchanging positions with the arrest on a straight once again. They actually exchanged positions twice on the same straight. And it could have been a beautiful fight if Sean didn't get the penalty. Now for Edwin, it's just about cruising home inside the track and outside the walls, and just close enough to be behind Sean. Felix in the meanwhile completes his overtakes on Bazooka for P3. And we have 2.5 laps left to go. You can see just how much he's trying to resist on those old hards, on that broken front wing. He was supposed to drive for a Haas today, but he wanted to drive for Alpine. He said, Felix, I am driving for Alpine tonight, and it looks like that this car right here has brought him such a blessing for how this race went. Wasn't able to finalize anything this season, not anything real, but he's actually on course to have one of his best race in F1 Total. He wasn't the dominant one in terms of pace, he was the dominant one in terms of consistency, in terms of not making mistakes. And he hasn't made any. All the other contenders just crumbled under pressure. Edwin did not. And it's the penultimate lap right now. DRS is enabled once again for Edwin. He does not need to get past Sean. He just needs to stay behind. DRS is enabled, but he's saving all of the energy. I think he indeed wants that P1 on track, and he's gonna go maximum attack right now. Phantom Fox is side on track. But we start the last lap of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as Sean Moore and Edwin continue this virtual fight. Sean fights just as he was defending this race win, and they go side by side through zone 1 and 2, and Edwin does not get past, but let's see, does he get a better exit? But no, he does not want to risk it. It's all fun and games fighting for positions, but he needs to focus about his real result, which is the top step of the podium. 2 risking zone 4, he knows that. If he still wants that P1 on track for the glory, he needs to get it somewhere else. But he resisted on half a front wing for the entire race. Him and Sean Moore could have had a beautiful fight. Sean didn't because of the penalty. But I do think it's gonna be still one of the most memorable races for Edwin. One of the most fun fights he had, even if it wasn't real. But now he has the DRS, he has the last chance to get past Sean around the last corner. Does he go around the outside? Does he outbrake the Williams? No, he does not. He may not be P1 on track, but he has pulled off a brilliant performance tonight at Jeddah. Sean Moore crosses the line first, but Edwin goes home to win his first race in F1 Total. He is officially a Division 1 race winner, an F1 Total race winner. Edwin, for the first time in his career, driving the Alpine. A Haas disguised as an Alpine, but it's the Lithuanian driver on the top step of the podium for the first time in history. And Sean Moore could have been a great fight. He will definitely be heartbroken with that track limits penalty. Could have been a beautiful win for him, but it's actually only gonna be P2. And Felix, who was on course to gain so many points for catch race, is actually gonna be 3 P3, and Edwin throwing around F1 24 copies to the crowd, chanting his name, and he lifts the trophy on the top step of the podium, and he sprays champagne throughout the podium. It's absolutely a great result for him, one that he will definitely remember for a long time. And also Felix, a race he will remember in a long time, but not in a positive way. He gets the fastest lap, but 16 points was not what he was looking for. It could have been 26, a perfect chance for Felix to gain points on cut, to make his chance easier for the title. He was not able to do that, and it's only P3 for Felix. But Edwin goes home for a brilliant race winner here in Jeddah, and Sean in P2, and Felix closes the podium in P3. Bazooka in P4, always in P5, and the rest, Phantom Fox, Creamy, Jamie, and Alex, all DNFs from P6 to P9. And there we go. This has been the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and an historical new race winner in this league. Thank you for watching. I was very glad I could commentate tonight. So now we're just gonna meet again for the Saudi Arabia Division 2 race next week on Wednesday, but I will be back commentating next week on Saturday. As always, we will continue our street track phase of the calendar, and it's gonna be Viva Las Vegas. Thank you for watching tonight's stream, and we will see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.